We're small, so we're a good testing market, okay? Because you can test it here, you can test it quickly, you can test it really fast, and you can test it well because we are small.
Montevideo is a nice place to do the prototype, to validate your hypothesis, and after that to move to the global market.
A rule of thumb in Latin America, it's you go from Uruguay to Argentina, to Chile, to Colombia, to other medium-sized or small-sized countries. When you have a really good test of the product, of the service in those countries, then you go to Brazil. Brazil is like a continent itself. It's a big country. It has a lot of particularities.
Almost all of us are sons or grandsons of people that came from Italy or Spain. More than 90% of our population is sons or grandsons from immigrants. So we are open to the world. And that is a real good mindset.
In Uruguay, you have more than 50, maybe 57 different institutions to help entrepreneurs. And you have a different organization for each stage. In the first stage, there are a lot of universities and no-profit organizations that work with you to develop the skills and the knowledge you need to develop the startup. After the first stage, you have another network of organizations that help the entrepreneur to go abroad and try to discover different markets, no? And we have angel investors and VCs to help to find the money you need to move to the market.
These organizations work together. You know, they are really linked. Everybody knows here what happens. So once an organization has helped enough, one company, it links it to the other one in order to make, you know, like a growth plan in order for this company to keep growing.
In the year 2000, the ecosystem had 2, 3, 4 organizations. Right now we're more over 60 organizations. That's very good for the country.
I think the ecosystem is fairly generous in general, in the sense of providing feedback and stuff like that.
The good thing about Uruguay, or at least Montevideo, is a small country, it's a small city, and you can get anybody, you can contact anybody, you can reach anybody. I'm sure that you know somebody that knows somebody, then that somebody maybe it's number one at a company, and he can mentor you, he can introduce you to somebody, and that's really interesting.
The government has an agency called the National Agency for Innovation and Research that plays a very interesting role on early stage entrepreneurs. So to fund prototypes and early projects, the agency has been very, very active.
There is access to capital, and frankly, I think everyone usually goes to the government. So there's public funds available with ANI. It's kind of a startup Chile model. And I think that's definitely a good way to get started.
In the area of startups, I think that we're putting on the system about $2 million per year, something like that. And in the complete area, together with companies, we are around $7 million per year.
The issue then, and it's a problem that we see fairly everywhere, which is what happens with the second rounds and eventually third rounds, which those are more difficult because those are more expensive and therefore it's not that easy for the government to play that role. and there are not that many funds that want to invest in Uruguay for $1 million rounds, $2 million rounds. So those are in the places where a lot of new companies kind of get stalled, because it's a round that is typically too big for Uruguay but too small for the world. So if you go to Silicon Valley, a round below $5 million, stuff like that doesn't get anybody excited.
I think there's a big spike in access to capital with the public funds, and there's a big trough. Like after that, there's a big necessity in the market where I think the government wants the private sector to help out a little bit. And I think that's starting to happen. If you would ask me, I would say we're probably 3, 4, 5 years away from this being a bit more healthier that way, where more angel investors are picking up where the public money is leaving off.